1917 and enough of everything. On the Russian front, the war dragged on for just as long as Private Ivan Ivanovich could stand it, and just as long as those behind him could stand it too. Behind him, at the top, was Czar Nicholas, supreme ruler of all the Russias, an autocrat who believed only in autocracy and maintaining his proud dynasty. The winter of 17 in Petrograd was an exceptionally hard one, and hard by Russian standards means hard. The city was desperately short of bread. The Tsar's government had done little or nothing to safeguard supplies for the home front. Then, in March 1917, when coal shortage shut down many of the city's factories, the workers streamed out and demonstrated for more bread and, indeed, more of everything. With things at rioting pitch, the Tsar turned for aid to the army. The army, proud in its traditions but outdated in its organization. Officers from good families, themselves autocratic and proud, deeply religious, yet many of them placing the Tsar on the same level as God. But the bulk of the army was, of course, Private Ivan Ivanovich, and for him, the neck of the chicken, if he ever saw a chicken. For the most part, Ivan had to scrounge for what he put into his stomach, or what he could chop up to keep himself warm. When the unrest on the home front seeped through to the army, things were at a pitch where it was useless for the Tsar to appeal to Ivan's loyalty. Things were so bad that even those who placed him on a level with God thought it best to keep quiet about it. This was the moment for an ambitious young lawyer named Kerensky. And by his efforts, the Tsar was forced to abdicate and a provisional government was set up. But it was a government, for the most part, of generals. And though they were united in their condemnation of their late ruler, they hadn't at heart changed any of their ideas or ceased to be generals. And so in the streets of Petrograd, demonstrations proclaimed to the world the loyalty of the new Russia to her Western allies. For the honor of the army, the war went on. So that all along the Eastern Front, Ivan Ivanovich sat it out and wondered why. Wondered why, when Russia had had a revolution, life for Ivan Ivanovich hadn't changed one bit. Why, for him, there was still not enough of anything. But Russia wasn't the only place where there was unrest. In many neutral countries, the Argentine for one, German embassies came in for rough treatment as a result of Germany's declaration that all ships that entered the war zone did so at their own risk. These were the days when too often neutral ships limped into port, holed by torpedoes or wrecked by gunfire. In Washington, an angry nation found expression through President Wilson's warning to Germany that such high-handedness could not be tolerated by his government. Already, American ships were sailing the Atlantic with guns mounted in case of interference by any overzealous U-boat captain. And some of them were indeed zealous. That spring, Britain was appalled by her losses. In Britain, with increasing shortages, dig was now the maxim. Dig for victory, and dig for enough to eat. Food kitchens bringing cheap, hot meals to those who needed them. Food kitchens and Aunt Flo's green fingers. Now Lady Muck shovelers had taken on the glamour of Florence Nightingales. Aunt Flo could join the new Women's Land Army with pride. And she did, and shoveled with the best.